Hello, everybody. I am Brandon the Starseed, and today we are going to talk about judgment, forgiveness, and acceptance. These are important. Basically, we as humans have been taught to judge other people and to believe that other people are always judging us, which works really well if everyone else is being taught to judge other people, because then that really reinforces that whole people are judging us thing when they are and when we're judging them. So, hey, guess what? Stop judging other people. Okay. Pretty simple, right? No, it's not. It's really hard. I mean, it takes time. It's not hard. It just takes time, patience, and understanding of what's going on. We've also been taught to hold grudges. This is kind of a bigger picture of judgment. It's that I'm going to hold a grudge against you for a certain period of time simply to prove a point out of judgment or spite or whatever. I don't think it's very good energy for both the person holding the grudge and the person they're holding the grudge to. It's negative energy. Nothing good comes out of that. So, yeah, we're going to work on that. First, and this is the hardest part. This is the part everybody wants to skip, right? Everybody wants to forgive all the people around them, right? Or accept the things around them or acknowledge the things, the hurtful things from their childhood or from an ex-girlfriend or a past relationship and forgive that person for that stuff. That's cool, but guess what? It's all going to keep coming back to you if you haven't forgiven yourself first. Ooh. Yeah, we're getting real here. You kind of have to go with yourself. So, you must accept who you are. And this is a changing thing. You're not going to be tomorrow who you were today, and you aren't today who you were yesterday. That's perfectly fine. You need to accept that. You wake up and you're a little different. Don't be like, man, why can't I be like I was yesterday? Don't be like that, man. Be like, hey, I'm glad I'm like I am today. And tomorrow I'll be a different person again. And that'll be great. Stop trying to hold on to things and stop trying to hold yourself to this ideal image of what other people think you're supposed to be. Who cares? Are the other people you? Do they have to wake up and look at the mirror and be you? Do they have to go and do your life? No, you do your life. They got to do their life. Okay? So the only one that you need to focus on accepting and not judging is you. At least for me, that's what I've worked on, right? If I'm no longer judging myself for both my past, my present, and whatever my future is, if I'm not beating myself up for the choices I made or decisions or paths that I took, it's easier for me to forgive other people if I've forgiven myself. I can't forgive other people if I'm still mad at myself. I'll say I've forgiven them, but then I'll be like, because I'm still mad at myself. Okay? I'm using them as like a embodiment of the anger I have towards myself. And I think a lot of us do that with people. And it's sad when I see relationships, married people, that they hold grudges on the other person based on insecurities or things they haven't forgiven or accepted in themselves. And it's not healthy for anyone. I don't see why people go through with that. So often, this is something to think about. When we're judging people, we get triggered, right? We get bothered. We get triggered by something. Maybe they're talking and they say something, or they always talk about a certain thing or a certain way, and it just gets under your skin. You just get so mad. You want to like, In my experience, turns out most of the time that I'm triggered or angry or upset about somebody, it actually turns out that it's because of insecurities or patterns in my own life or personality that I either don't want to acknowledge or don't want to see in other people or wish that were in me. Like I'm jealous that somebody else is a certain way, and every time they show signs of something that I maybe wish I had, I get mad at them. This is something to think about, because often when we're yelling at people or we're getting frustrated with people or people are bothering us or getting under our skin or whatever, it's not actually them. I mean, yeah, people suck. I get it, okay? But it's not always them. People suck. You're going to have to get over it, okay? How that affects you, how you're letting that affect you, has less to do with them and more to do with you. And again, personal experience. This is what I've learned. Might not be necessarily relevant for everybody or even anybody out there. But for me, I found that, hey, most of the time, I got to get more at peace with myself. And anytime I get triggered by something or get upset about something, it's a good learning moment to go, hey, what happened here that caused me to get triggered? what is it that I have? Is it a insecurity? Is it a jealousy thing? Is it a, what is it? That's step one, right? So you got to work on you. You got to start finding all the things that you are judging about yourself, right? Stop hating on yourself. If you can't be your fan, if you can't be your number one fan, how can you expect anyone else to like you? That's the thing. I don't understand people that constantly post things on Facebook and are constantly trying to get people to like them, but yet you can tell they don't like themselves. Think about that. If you don't like you, why should anyone else like you? You need to like you first. You need to set the example. You need to be cool with you, right? If you had the feeling towards yourself that you have, say, towards like your best friend or the person that was the one that you trust, the one you rely on, that one person that you just feel like they're just that character, right? If you felt that way about you, think about that. Now, you don't have to change everything in your life to get there. You have to accept the fact that all the things that you are now are going to get you there in the future. And all the things that you were when you were younger, that you maybe feel like were mistakes or whatever, you learned from that, and that got you to where you are now. You need to accept it and say, hey, I was stupid. I did some crazy shit, but I'm not going to beat myself up over it and go, oh, if only I had done this one thing different, my whole life would be, it would be so much better, but the one mistake and it's all over. Why? If you think that way, it's not productive. It's not benefiting you. It's just basically you're putting yourself down. You're just like digging your own grave and throwing the dirt on top as you go down. Like, dude, man, you got to be more able to work with yourself. And that is hard because you have to be honest with yourself. And I think that's the hardest thing for most humans right now, at least. They have so much social, like procedural social construct around them, like telling them like, this is normal, this is normal, this is supposed to be this way, we're all supposed to feel this way about this, you're supposed to do this, like all that, right? This is like, the world is telling you that all of the other people in the world have to think about these things and worry about these things and be this way and blah, 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 blah. Even though when you see the news and you see other things, you realize there's lots of people that are just doing other things, that there is no conformed social structure. Be nice if there was. It'd be a lot more orderly, but there isn't. And to hold yourself to the standard of like, oh, I'm a failure because I don't make this much money. Guess what? There's a guy out there in the world who makes that much money, and he thinks he's a failure because he doesn't make this much money. Or he doesn't care about the money. He's a failure in his mind because he gave up some other job, or he's not doing what he loved, or he lost his kids in a divorce thing. I mean, everybody has their own thing. And instead of getting in that mindset of, I wish I had this, or I wish I was this, you can get goals. You can go, I want to become this. I want to, adapt into this or grow into this person. But you have to be first able to go, I am proud of who I am now. I am glad I am this. I am accepting how I got here and why being here now in my life is going to give me the lessons I need to get to the next part. If you work with it, if you accept it, if you embrace that concept, it gets so much easier to start forgiving other people and start letting go of other things. And then you can accept things. And guess what? When you stop judging people and you forgive people and you start accepting, people for who they are, not who you want them to be or who you expect them to be, or even who they perceive them to be. Often, people perceive themselves differently than they actually are. And you have to accept them for who they are, not who they're portraying. Often I would get the most frustrated with people because they would portray themselves as this type of person, and I would see them do things that are like this type of person. And I'm like, hey, you keep saying you're this guy, right? But yet all the things you're doing are like this guy. And like, I wouldn't be mad if you were saying you were this guy, but you're saying you're this other guy and you're doing this. So, but that's for me. I've had to go, hey, he doesn't know he's that guy. He thinks he's this guy, even though he's doing all this stuff that's like this guy. I learned to accept that too. That was a big one for me to go, oh, whoa. I can't get mad at him if he doesn't even realize what he's doing. And even if he does realize what he's doing, that's his thing, right? We all got to get like that with everybody around us and go, whoa. There's some really crazy stuff with judgment, with not forgiving people, with not accepting people. And this goes through all layers, everything from different social groups not accepting each other, different cultures, different ethnicities, obviously, different people, just different personality traits, different generations, obviously different sexual preferences. There's all of this judgment and all of this non-acceptance, and it stems from people not accepting who they are, not being able to forgive themselves. They're judging themselves. So yeah, got to get past the judgment with yourself. You gotta forgive yourself. You gotta accept yourself. This is a daily battle. I mean, I hate saying that because it makes it the thing that I don't want it to be. But I guess when you're coming from a duality concept, it starts off that way. It does kind of start off as a battle. I'd love to say that it's not, that it's like, you just do this. But it does kind of start off where you have to battle yourself on this a little bit, because we've been programmed, and I'm not sure why, but socially, and this I don't think this is true for a long period of time, but I feel like socially we've been programmed to put more emphasis on how others perceive us than how we perceive ourselves, to the point where we actually put ourselves down if others aren't putting us down. And it's like we keep ourselves in check. And it seems to me like it's a great programming to do to humans if you say we're some group that landed here and wanted to keep people pretty well controlled, maybe. Just a thought. And maybe we don't need that programming anymore. So we can let go of it and stop letting it control how we treat ourselves and how we treat those we love and how we treat complete strangers. And, ordering a drink at Starbucks and being a bitch to someone is maybe not cool, just saying. You gotta be cool with yourself first. And it's funny too, because the people that are so bulldoggy, they're out there just fighting with the world and causing trouble. When I see people like that, especially when they go after somebody, who's not that way, right? You see like a person, maybe a waitress, right? And she spills a drink a little bit and she's shy and nervous. And, doesn't matter if it's a guy or a girl, right? Doesn't matter who it is. Somebody who just has that like, hey, look what you did. Look, I expect 20% off. I'm not tipping you now. It's like, whoa. Like, when I see that now, I immediately, instead of I guess what the person who's doing that feels like in their mind, maybe that other people are seeing it and thinking they're good for being mean, or maybe they're afraid that people are going to think they're weak, and so by being that way, they think people think they're strong. But when I see it, all I see is a little tiny child who hasn't accepted themselves. Like, somebody go and hug that lady, or that guy, or whoever. Basically, when somebody's bitching about something, it's like, dude, it's just a little child who's crying. Just give them a hug, give them their little bottle, pat them on the back. They need to accept themselves. They're just poor little children who are stuck. They hate themselves so much that they have to get everyone else to hate them, to verify the inner hate they have for themselves. Think of how dangerous that is if you're going through your whole life, everyone you're interacting with, and you're picking fights with everyone. And maybe you don't think you're picking fights. Maybe you just think you're, what would be a good word? Maybe you just think you're giving them a little bit of constructive criticism, right? Hey, you were a waitress once, right? You're just trying to make sure that you keep it real so that, these people don't get soft, right? People were mean to you, so you got to be mean to the next group, right? No. Not cool, dude. In fact, worse, if you've experienced that kind of shit and then you go and do that shit, I know people, and this is the craziest shit. I know people who themselves were discriminated against, whether it was for race, whether it was for, religion. And yet later in life, they started or were in an opportunity where they discriminated against someone else. And in their mind, it was fair. And in my mind, it didn't seem right. It's like, well, first of all, you experienced this yourself, so you know how it feels. You know what it felt like. You know the harm it caused to you. Why do that to somebody else? I think when people start to realize that every energy they put out comes back to them, maybe they won't be so mean to everyone around there, you know? Maybe people will be more kind. What I learned when I moved to where I'm at now is that people here, and it's funny because the people here I don't even think realize it, but the people up here in this area tend to be more polite, more kind, less confrontational, less, yeah, more, you know? And granted, I came from California, which was a very aggressive society. I don't care what people in California say. I don't care what everyone else says. California is surfers, man. Everybody's laid back. Have you seen the prices to live there? You cannot be laid back. Dude, if you're a surfer, and you can just afford to surf every day, you're probably a retired .com millionaire, or your parents had money or something. Majority of people in California don't have time to surf. They are working. They are definitely working. I would say the average Californian is working more than 40 hours a week and is probably under more stress than you can imagine. And this is their choice, granted, but it does tend to cause a aggressive society where people are more feisty and fighting with people and looking for confrontation, just walk into a bar all right, I'm ready to pick a fight with somebody. Oh man. And I think people go through their whole day doing that, and if you're one of those people, you can change. But I really think the best thing to do, at least for me, because I was an asshole, man. I'm gonna straight up say it. When I was younger, I was an asshole. I was very quick with people. I had expectations, and I basically, if I had an opinion, I stated it, and if people didn't agree with it, they were wrong. Like clearly you didn't hear me. I'm just gonna talk louder, more aggressively, and point at you a lot, and therefore you're going to agree with me. Looking back, I'm like, why did I think that? But it's the natural thing we do, right? Somebody comes at you, you're like, all right, I'm coming back at you. But at the end, nobody wins. I filled myself with negative energy. Other people got negative energy. I changed a lot. Anyone who knew me when I was younger probably doesn't even know me now, because nobody really knows me now from then. But if you find me now and you knew me when I was younger, you probably realize I'm not quite the same. I'm closer to the way I was when I was 16 or 17. And then from 17 through yeah. But I've been working on it, and I'm not as much of an asshole to people. And if somebody messes up my order, I might correct them. Just, because I can, but I'm still gonna tip them. I'm still gonna be friendly to them. I'm not gonna be a dick to them. I'm not gonna be like, dude, I said no mustard. What the fuck is this? You didn't even listen. I'm just gonna be like, hey, I said no mustard. I really don't like mustard. Can I get one with no mustard? Or what's up? I'm more respectful about it. Hey, it's not your fault. Probably someone else, we all have our days. That's the whole point. If you can accept yourself for the flaws and the things that you've done, it's so much easier to start accepting other people. You see somebody do something that used to get you mad, and you just go, oh, dude, I had a bad day like that once too. And people got mad at me, and it made the day even worse. So do I want to be that guy that goes and yells at somebody because they're having a bad day? Nah, man. Just let them have their bad day. Don't turn it into a worse day for them, and don't drag yourself into it and make it a bad day for you. But you gotta accept yourself first, and then everything else just kind of comes. Weird how that goes. Practice and time. That's all I can talk about with this. Is practice and time. Cool. So, hey, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and there will be more. Bye.